All right, it says we're live. I believe we're live. Welcome to Raiderland Rewind from the Arctic Air Studios, presented and brought to you by Thacker Jewelry in Lubbock, Texas. Your story starts and begins at Thacker's. All right, Texas Tech wins it. Easy win tonight. We'll get your thoughts. We'll get your comments. We'll get your questions on the United Supermarkets text line 806-772-0197 as we roll through. As long as the conversation is good, interesting, and otherwise, we'll hang out with you guys tonight. But if you're on Twitter and if you're on YouTube, make sure you use the United Supermarkets text line 806-772-0197. Early arrivals, you know what to do. If the audio is good, the video is good, you give us thumbs up on that front and let us know everything's good. Then you share it and invite some friends in. Let them know we're talking a little Red Raider football tonight after a 41-3, really completely control the game from the beginning of it tonight. Damon is correct. The talking box is indeed on. Yes, it is. All right, so we'll let a few more folks straggle in. I said 9:34, but I figure we'd hit it a little bit early. I'd be intrigued to see what you guys want to talk about tonight. Whether it's dominant Tech defense, the newfound Taj Brooks run game, or actually it's not newfound. It's just, oh yeah, we got a guy named Taj Brooks, and then whether he likes it or not, whether he wants it or not, Joey McGuire's got himself a quarterback controversy. All right, let's get it rolling, shall we? And again, those of you on Twitter, those of you on YouTube Live, use the United Supermarkets text line to get your comments in tonight. 806-772-0197. In 3, in 2. Good evening, West Texans, all you good, fine, friendly folks out there who wish you were. I'm Ryan Hyatt, TheRaiderland.com, the website. You start your day every day there. Raiderland Hot Links, our question of the day. Tomorrow we'll have our column up, 5 things we know on a Sunday. It's TheRaiderland.com. We're in the Arctic Air Studios tonight. A little rewind brought to you by our friends at Thacker Jewelry. They were great to us during the spring with Diamond Talk, and they are here with us now. Your presenter of Raiderland Rewind. So tell Joe Thacker and the crew over there, thanks for being a part of it. So there we are. 41-3, Texas Tech wins. They can't get the shutout. Got a little ragged there at the end. Yeah, very, very ballsy move there by Tarleton State. Inside the 10. Let's not go for the touchdown. Let's kick a field goal. Please. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? You know? Oh, well. There we go. John says we were supposed to win. Only good thing is we saw Morton play along with other backups. Well, I think there was more than that. That for the most part, you made an inferior team look inferior. Check off that. Played fairly clean. Check that off. You didn't have a lot of penalties. It can be easy to have a lot of penalties during the game. So I think you can check that off. I think it's really good to see Brooks get going again. But I figure most people want to talk about the quarterback situation. And as I said, whether he wants it or not, he's probably got a quarterback controversy on his hands, at least within the fan base, it seems right now. So where are you on that? What do you think of the play? What do you think of the game? You give us your comments, your questions. Get us on the United Supermarkets text line, 806-772-0197. Morton snaps the call out. I think you mean the ball maybe, but I'm not really sure. UT and Wyoming, 10-10, end of 3. Very interesting, isn't it? With Wyoming giving Texas hell, are they a top 10 team? Got to be. I mean, Texas beat Alabama. Alabama's the third best team in the AFC South. So by virtue of the transitive theory of equality, certainly Wyoming bound to be ranked in the top 10. This was a spot, though. A lot of people were wondering, would there be a big letdown with Texas? And Wyoming's obviously not a bad football team. So we'll see how that thing turns out. Obviously, haven't been paying attention to it too much. You guys get a chance to do more of that than we do on this end. But yeah, we go with a lot of the good things tonight. Not a lot of negative. We'll get your thoughts. Where are you on the quarterback deal? I guess we'll start with that and work backwards because I figure everybody wants to talk about it. A lot of people have been clamoring to see QB2 and Baron Morton. You got to see him tonight after the first drive of the second half. Joey McGuire told TV audience that Shuck would get the first series in the second half, and then it will be Baron Morton's turn. Baron Morton comes in. He plays pretty fast. He gets in the end zone, and he has, everybody salivating at the idea. And he looked like he played faster. He looked more decisive. He did a lot of the things that people want. John says it right there. Morton looks sharp. I think Shuck looks tentative. Matthew says Morton better for our offense. Shuck may be better quarterback as an individual, but there's always the dreaded but. So yeah, I get it. And I will say yes. And Mark is right. Morton has the stronger arm, and he showed it a little bit. Shuck's really at a disadvantage with long throws to the sideline, and that has been a problem from day one. And that he can get into this mode of, as somebody said, being a little tentative. It reminds me a whole lot of B.J. Simmons and Cliff Kingsbury, and I'm not saying that Morton is B.J. and that Shuck is Kingsbury. Stay with me on this. But Kingsbury was a more methodical player, a more methodical process, and everything else. And the entire time B.J. was behind him, B.J. would get out there and play like his hair was on fire, and the rest was catching. And, there were a lot of people going, how can this guy not get on the field? And we're going through that again. I completely get the folks right now who say they want to see more Baron Morton. Coach created the quarterback controversy. He let Morton in the game. That was always going to be the case. You're always going to do that. You're going to get a big lead, and you want to get QB2 reps. That's not creating a quarterback controversy. That's just the natural progression. Taylor Potts is a good example of a guy who was a workout warrior. NFL scouts loved his frame, loved a lot of the measurables. But when it came to that moment, it wasn't there. Potts and Sheffield 2.0, David going off on that. So I don't know where we are on this. If you're Joey McGuire, you can sit there and make the case, because Shuck just didn't look sharp. He wasn't bad. He just wasn't great. He didn't look like a guy shredding an FCS team. And by the time Morton gets out there, this thing's pretty much over. So it's a little bit hard to say it's apples to apples. But Shuck didn't give Joey McGuire any ammunition tonight to hold off the people that are saying they want to see more Baron Morton. He didn't. And Morton didn't do anything to compromise. The one interception was on Loic Fungi stopping on a route. Not even stopping on a route. It looked like he didn't even know it was a pass play on that. So I get it. Two different coaching staffs, multiple OCs, and to a man, all of them have said that Shuck is better than Morton when it comes to being a starter. Off the United Supermarkets text line, 806-772-0197. Remember, if you're on Twitter, if you're on YouTube, use the text line. It's right there. You should be able to read it. Morton's channeling his inner Mahomes with his baseball sidearm deliveries and quick release. Yeah, he had no idea what was going on talking about Fungi. And speaking of Fungi, where has he been? Give me sticks. He's a gamer. Teresa's watching. Welcome to the show. Kansas State coach didn't go home with the team going to Michigan State. Seriously, I don't know anything about that. Don't know anything about climbing on that deal. Is he really going to? Am I missing something? I've been totally Texas Tech oriented for the last however many hours. With the West Virginia dub today, Morgantown becomes a tough place to win. No, it doesn't. Kitley better game plan for his offense. No, Morgantown's not a tough place to win. McGuire will need to make a decision during the bye week. That's why he makes the big bucks. Yeah, among others. McGuire has given West Virginia two quarterbacks to prep for. Good call, Gary. What are they going to do? 41-3, Texas Tech wins it. Your thoughts, your comments. Where are you on the quarterback situation? Coaches hate this. Absolutely hate it. But that's what you got. 2:30 next week at West Virginia, Houston, all that good stuff. Yeah, we got people keeping up with that. UT going to the house. It's no longer tied, John. It's 17-10. Texas up. So where are you? What do you want to do? Let's go back to some of the really good things, and there were a lot. The defense just really dominated. I love the fact they seemed to take it personally tonight. Once Tarleton got into their end of the field. They bowed up. They made some big plays. They turned it over on downs. The early picks really set a nice tone. They were pressuring Tarleton's quarterback. Everything you would want a defense to do, they did tonight. Shutouts are so hard to get in college football and in the NFL. Every rule is against the defense. Every rule is hyper for the offense. If I see a team hold anybody under 10 points, I consider that basically a shutout from 20, 30 years ago. That's how I qualify that. You hold somebody to 3 points, you hold them to no touchdowns. That is an amazing night of defense, and it was across the board. You played a lot of different dudes. You were a little worried there about Ben Roberts, but he seemed to get up and he looked okay. So hopefully you got out of there okay. Pierre, right before the half, looked like that left arm maybe was dinged up, and then he was back out there to start the second half. So there you go. Can they do it against a Big 12 team? I don't know. Going to find out. I thought they played well against Oregon. Let's go back again, Stacy. The defense gave you a chance and played well enough to beat Oregon. They 100% did. We got a pick six. Colorado wins 7-0. Have we brawled yet? I saw the pregame little kerfluffle. Give me a brawl there. What an idiot, Norvell. Don't insult the crocodile till you've crossed the other side of the river, young man. You guys want to join us on the text line 806-772-0197. You can do so if you're on Twitter or YouTube. We want that to happen for you guys. Get in there. No update on the Tarleton player other than he was taken to UMC, neck injury. He did have movement in his extremities. Anytime TV refuses to show a replay, it's not going to be good. Obviously, immediate medical attention was there for the young man, and hopefully everything's okay. That's all we know beyond that. Do you feel like the O-line has improved? Looks as bad as last season. Hold on a second. I'm going to need a sip. At the risk of getting my ass kicked by Coach Hamby, they don't look very disciplined and they don't look very well coached. Their technique is not very good right now. They're sloppy. They are not finishing blocks, and you've got guys that have played a lot of downs in some situations that are not finishing. They're not sealing off backside. I don't know. They don't look better to me right now. They should be better. They don't look better to me. Fair call there. The defense kept in the game against Oregon. Yeah, it did. When you give up, when your defense doesn't allow, you can take the points off turnovers and the interception and everything else. You're holding Oregon under 30 on legit points. That's good enough defense. That's 2 good weeks that I thought the defense played, and they weren't horrible against Wyoming. Your offense just couldn't do anything. It's about damn time you get here, Andy. We've been waiting on you. So the defense dominant. What more do you want on that? We like that. Taj Brooks, 140 basically in the first half, and I'm sounding like you're sounding like my son O-line coach. Your son's O-line coach. I'll take that as a compliment because I'm sure that's the way you meant it. Brooks has been there all year. At 1.6 of 66 last week, I think. 6'4", 66. He's been there. That's been there. That Kitley and Shuck, I think, have fallen into some traps of counting helmets and going, all right, we got a light box, we got a heavy box. You don't want a heavy box. You want a light box. We got a light box. I can run it. Run the damn ball. Don't understand how a 3-man front can cause Shuck so many issues. It's downfield. It's not the 3-man front, John. You're watching the ball. Don't watch the ball. It's coverage. You got receivers who are not getting open. We can talk about that. This receiving core to date has been incredibly pedestrian. They were pedestrian last year, and they're looking pedestrian right now. I'm not seeing game breakers. I'm not seeing guys that are just, when I got to be open, I'm open. With a little work, I could do Walter Brennan. Yeah, I need just a little whiskey, and I can do Walter Brennan pretty good. Glad Wendy is watching. Weston, welcome to the show. Hope you're having a great weekend. We welcome everybody in. If you're on Twitter, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, want to hear from you. Get your thoughts in tonight on the game, what you liked, and everything in between. Talking defense, we're talking run game. I think they fall into that trap that just because you can change a play doesn't necessarily mean you should. And Run the running back. He's a running back. Shuck, David says Shuck won't put the ball up and play for the receivers to make it play unless they're wide open. Yeah, I do think there's some hesitancy there on Shuck's part. You know, the touchdown pass that somebody was referencing Mahomes and Morton Channelis and enter Mahomes. I think off the United Supermarkets text line 806-772-0197. That's a pass Shuck can or won't throw. Sometimes that'll get your butt in trouble. Joey McGuire talked about that 2 weeks ago, the Mahomes impact. It's great for football. It's horrible because so many quarterbacks think they can do it. Shuck at times is self-limiting, the other direction. So you got maybe a hyper gunslinger in Morton and a really conservative guy in Shuck. Coaches love really conservative quarterbacks, by the way. Coaches love game managers. They'll rant and rave and talk all the great things about, you know, the Mahomes and people of the world. Really, you know who coaches want? They want Trent Dilfer. That's what they want. Receivers know the ball ain't coming. They give up on the route. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But I've seen it consistently now with 3 different quarterbacks the last 2 years that these guys just aren't getting open. They're not getting open downfield. And I will bail out Shuck a little bit on this, that when 3-man, 4-man pressure is getting to him, that's coverage sack downfield. And I'll even, you know, bail out the offensive lineman a little bit on that too, that there's only so long that you can be asked to pass block for somebody. Jump in on the United Supermarkets text line here. It's a little bit of Raiderland Rewind, brought to you by Thacker Jewelry here in Lubbock, Texas. Yeah. It's hard because we're not used to conservative ball here. Yeah. You've had at different times conservative quarterbacks here. You know who they playing next week? Who are they playing next week? I don't know. Is that like a rhetorical question? Like Morton found a left task. What the hell? Yeah. Yeah, a little miscommunication there on the route. Little miscommunication on what was going on. So yeah, Brooks, keep giving him the football. You will be a better football team when you do that. The other thing I want to make sure we mention tonight, helmet stickers to the Texas Tech crowd. You already got 4 games sold out this year. Probably everything else will sell out. Offense is a little suspect. Yes, I suspect they're having problems. Yeah, they are playing West Virginia. I got a schedule right there. It's West Virginia, then it's Houston, then it's Baylor, you know, Kansas State, BYU. Yeah. I got my son's schedule up there. I can read that one too, if you guys want my son's schedule. Yeah, I mean, I said at halftime, Tech left a lot of chicken on the bone, and they did in the first half. Now, it didn't matter. You were not going to lose this game. It was apparent 3 drives in, you were not going to lose this game. By the way, what did the final line go off on this? Was it 38.5? The flying Neil Browns. Man, I don't know who's going to get fired first now, whether it's going to be Neil Brown or whether it's going to be Gundy. This keeps up, Gundy is not going to have to worry about NIL and transfer and anything else much longer. There's been something rotten in Denmark ever since that Big 12 title game ended 2 years ago. We saw it manifest in Stillwater last year. It's only getting worse. If you don't want to coach in college football in 2023, they'll find a way to get rid of you, no doubt about it. The crowd was tremendous. The Mighty Rope Civilians won 33-6 over Hell Center. A big homecoming victory for the Eagles. I have not been paying attention to that game other than the score. It looks like it's been about a single score game going all night long. I mean, Arkansas doesn't want anything to do with the Big 12. It's obvious. They don't want anything to do with the Big 12. Big 12's too physical for them. You know? Where are we on some of the other games going on right now? What we got? Give me some top 25. It's in action still. Looks like Ole Miss is going to beat Georgia Tech. 10 to go, Oregon, Hawaii, 48-3, Oregon. Mentioned at 17-10, just starting the 4th, Texas in front of Wyoming, and it's 7-6, Colorado in the first quarter, 7-14. Didn't want to have anything to do with that game from a fiduciary standpoint, no doubt about it. Colorado State tied in Boulder at 7. So they got the extra point kicked. I see it now at 7-12. Texas up. Prime just started. Prime time is whenever Colorado plays now. If you're just getting in, we're running through the game with you guys. A little Raiderland Rewind following Tech's 41-3 victory over Tarleton State. The purple poo. I was wondering how many times the broadcasters would use the term purple poo tonight. About 25, I think, as we're here in the Arctic Air Studios, brought to you by Thacker Jewelry. Defense dominant. Brooks, give him the ball more. You basically have a quarterback controversy, whether you like it or not, if you're Joey McGuire, because the guy you want to be QB1 didn't do anything to separate tonight. He didn't do anything to just hands down make you go, see, everything's all right. He got his feet underneath him and everything's good. He just beat up on it. No, it didn't look that way. Does Arkansas even care about football? Baseball, different story. Kenny's joining the show. Texas, a hella drone light show. Man, what am I missing? Everybody's got the cool light shows. Tech with the cool light show again tonight. Here's how old I am. I'm so paranoid that every time they turn the lights out, I'm afraid they won't come back on. That did happen one time years ago. And I think we talked about this on the daily broadcast earlier this week. You guys always check out the daily broadcast live at 6:30 or on the replay. But they used to do, the band would do the Electric Horseman show is what we called it. They'd turn out the lights. Mask Rider would be all lit up with lights. The band would have the little glow lights and everything else. And it was really cool. And they did that one year. And I want to say this is around 84. Somewhere in through there. And it was over. And they turned on the lights. And the lights were like, we'll be with you in a moment. Your game is important to us. We'll be with you in a moment. And, is those, what do you call those kind of lights? Not incandescent, halogen, I guess, or what do you call those big statements? And they just slowly came back on. It's like the first 5 minutes of the second half, it was probably 50% lighting. Agreed about the lights going on. Please come back on. Lights out, always a little concerning. More importantly, black helmets, red double T always be the game. That uniform could be the uniform going forward. I would love it. It looks so good, so clean, great football playing uniform. The black shoes made it even better. You run faster in black shoes. Oh, it just looked really good. The only thing, make the double T just slightly bigger. Here's the deal. That's the way the double T did look there in the 60s on the helmet quite a bit. The helmets were smaller, so you need to make that double T just a little bit bigger. Make the double T the size you had, in the 90s and kind of the size you have right now. Just make it the way it is, and it stands out right there. Looks so good. It really pops, man. Merc Vapor. Yeah, that's what I couldn't get out of my brain. Carry a flashlight because I'm afraid of the lights going out. You have a cell phone. You don't need a flashlight. Adidas, the new unis. I would love to see the Red Raiders rocking the new first inaugural Patrick Mahomes uniform line. That'd be really cool. Yeah, that'd be quite cool. You guys get in on the United Supermarkets text line if you're on YouTube. If you are on Twitter X, 806-772-0197. I can't see your comments if you do it otherwise. So you've got to use the text line or I'm not going to see it. 806-772-0197 for that. We'll continue on tonight as long as the conversation is good. You want to talk a little college ball? You want to talk specifically Texas Tech? Texas back in the end zone again, it looks like. Big 12 on the day. Not surprised what happened with Kansas State and Missouri on that one. Hey, Missouri, go back to your regular helmets. Those yellow helmets were brutal, horrible look. So no real surprise there. That one was a 4-point game, and I kind of had it going the other way. The other Big 12 teams were rocking and rolling early on in the day. And it's still funny. Okay, so you go to like one of the score sites and you click and drop down, and I want to see the scores for the Big 12, and I click on it. And I've got BYU and I've got UCF and I've got what? No, I want Big 12 scores. Dion has me watching CU. Got to admit, yeah, no, it's prime time. 38-31 BYU now with 2:51 to go. Minute 17 to go. West Virginia up 17-6. Looks like they've got the ball. TCU and Houston, the Fighting Froggies, 14:34 to play, 29-13 over Houston. It looked like a couple of people showed up down there at Houston. And when I saw some crowd shots and some different things, it looked like there were maybe a couple of people. K-State missing Deuce Vaughn, yeah. Wouldn't you? What is that? 29-13. Dana Holgerson could be in trouble as well this year. And then Kansas 7-0 over Nevada, 5:09 to go in the first half. We mentioned Kansas State losing on the 61-yard field goal. Baylor over Long Island or LIU or whatever the hell, 30-7. By the way, I ain't buying what Oklahoma is selling, okay? 66-17. I am not buying what Oklahoma is selling. Call me back in a month. Are Gundy and Dana gone before the season ends? Quite possibly, yes. You have to do that now because you got to get to the front of the line for recruiting and for coaches. Kirby Hocutt showed the way 2 years ago on how this game is played now with the early signing date. You can't wait around until the beginning of December to fire a coach. If you think you're going to fire him at the end of the year, you need to fire him in November. You can't wait. UCF beating Villanova 48 to, what was that final? 14. I didn't watch a lick of it. And then Cincinnati, they lost in overtime to Miami. Man, bad look for the Big 12. Cincy, what are you doing? 31-24. It's a bad look. Colorado State is shocking Colorado at the moment. Another defensive touchdown, 80-yarders, 50-yard fumble return for Colorado State. Are they really shocking them? They could be shocking them. That was, again, another one that you looked at that line, and Colorado is now so public that, a lot of odds makers and everybody else were like, we have in our mind what a true line would be on this, but in order to, quote, balance the books, that everybody kept betting them and betting them and betting them and betting them, and that just so much money awash on Colorado that line, it's easy to say now, it's always easy to say in retrospect, well, that line becomes inflated by the numbers, but that's what we saw going on this week. But again, Colorado is one of the hardest teams right now in the country to scout, to get a handle on, because none of these, you've got 2 games worth of film going into tonight. Yeah, they're probably only ranked because of Dion. Although, winning on the road at TCU got some attention. But yeah, they're probably only ranked. Rivalry games have weird things happen during the game. I am writing that one down. I got a crick in my neck or something. Random thought from the Tech Tarleton game. You guys fire away. We'll keep going as long as it's good. I want to get you guys also that are on Twitter and on YouTube right now on the United Supermarkets text line, 806-772-0197. That's how we get your comments. And Facebook folks, you can utilize that if you want to. So the offensive coordinator for Tarleton, stay with me on this. Picture him in your mind right now. Mason Miller, the offensive coordinator. He looked like a barista at Starbucks, didn't he? Like a guy who decided to quit his corporate job and he was going to grad school to get a master's in English and maybe like speech, and he was working as a barista just part-time. He did. No further update on the player other than what we were told via broadcast at the end. The world saw the call out. They did. Neck injury, movement in the extremities. That's good. Obviously, major precautions being taken. That's the stuff you miss listening on the radio. Well, you can watch the radio. You can watch the radio. You can sync it up. It's easier to do now than it's ever been before, even with the buffering on an ESPN Plus. It can be done. Okay, that's a good one too, Gary. I mean, if we were doing potential other careers for Mason Miller, the OC for Tarleton, Park Ranger, Tarleton State D looked good at times. Not really. Most of the time, if Tech was stopping itself, Tech was stopping itself. That it was miscues on Tech's part. Tech left a lot on the bone. Probably should have hung 60. Should have hung 60 on them. Their defense wasn't that good. Don't give them that kind of credit. They gave up 140 yards rushing in the first half. One guy. No, they didn't look good at times. Texas Tech looked offensively frustrated at times, but Tarleton's defense did not look good at times. I will disagree vehemently with that statement right there. Yeah, Park Ranger, kind of the same vein, but maybe like a museum, like the guy who volunteers once a month on the weekend at the museum. Kind of look like that. Even after the south end zone renovations are completed, Tech should keep people sitting in the grass on the north end. Yep. I know why they did it. I still miss that whole area being grassy and the kids rolling around and playing. And, you get in for $5 and you sit on the grass and you spread out the blankets. And it's kind of like this college football Woodstock thing going on. Depending on how old you are, we may have sat in that same end zone at the same time back in the 80s, different times in the early and mid 80s, throwing around plastic footballs and just as a free for all. But we had to put the seats in there. We had to maximize it, and we had to do all this stuff. And yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, let folks sit there. It's cool. Kicker kicked with more confidence tonight. I think he's been pretty confident. I think he just kicked it good. And probably Gino, nice that every single kick the game was not riding on it. He's not made a kick up until tonight, or attempted one where the game basically wasn't hanging in the balance. I think he's got a good leg. Watched him in warm-ups and everything. I think he's going to be all right. Kickers are weird. Jared, my wife was watching the Tech game and saw the people in the north and said, now it feels like a college football game. Yeah. Good comment by your wife there. We work our way past 10 o'clock towards the witching hour. See if I can do a Gambling Gauchos 2-hour post-game show. I don't know how Rob and Kyle do that, by the way. Hats off to them. They'll probably be joining you guys here pretty soon with the Gambling Gauchos after dark. And whenever they knock out their post-game show, tell them we said hi. Those guys, I don't know how they do it. Uh-oh. The Covenant of the Ark and the Ark of the Covenant? What are we doing? They're driving? We can't have that. We need to carry the banner. Isn't it weird now that we're a few games in and you're sitting there watching a BYU Arkansas game going, come on, Big 12. Come on, you can do it, Big 12. What does Tech really get out of these types of games? We talked about it earlier in the week. Not a whole lot. Not much. I wish they would get them off the schedule. Most of the time, all you can get is kind of negatives. Tonight, we searching for positives, and there were plenty of them. But, I mean, what do you really get out of it? Not a lot. Not much. The Gauchos live on beef jerky and Shiner beer. Nah, I know both of them, they're too cheap for Shiner beer. I'm telling you that right now. May get an easy win. Which Big 12 team has jumped onto my radar as being a contender that wasn't there previously? Kansas, perhaps? No, not Kansas. Hell, I don't know. I think TCU is going to be all right. They still not concern me. It's hard to get a read. Again, I ain't buying what Oklahoma's selling. So basically, the answer to this is we want anybody other than Texas and OU, right? I think Texas Tech can be all right. There's not a team on the schedule from here on out. They played the most talented team they're going to play. You wish you were playing Oklahoma State this year. Dadgummit. But Texas is not more talented than Oregon. Oregon is the most talented team you'll play. You're in a position of being there. The Mormons will be in a shock visiting the LBK. Nah, they're in Fayetteville right now. The shock is gone. Shock is gone. BYU will travel too. They'll bring a lot of fans. I want to go up there for baseball. I wonder if I can talk Haxton into taking that trip off. I would love to go up to Provo there for that. What are we? 8 minutes left. TCU Houston 29-13. This league's got to find some quarterbacks. Maybe Texas Tech needs to find some quarterbacks. Keep your comments coming. If you are joining us on Twitter, or is it X? How long are we going to call it Twitter? I don't know. If you're on YouTube, you can join us as well here. It's Raiderland Rewind, brought to you by Thacker Jewelry, proud presenting sponsor of Raiderland Rewind, and Diamond Talk, of course, coming up in the spring. So we've asked the question, quarterback, who do you want to roll with from here? I'll be shocked if there is any change at quarterback. Fully expect QB1 to trot out there next week in Morgantown. But I also get everybody who is sitting there saying, I want to see Morton. I get it. I truly do. Need to bring Fink with you for that series if you go. Always travel with Fink. Fink's good. He's a responsible, courteous driver. Don't have to worry him getting all lathered up on a bunch of cheap whiskey. So we've got that going for us. He saves a lot of money because he likes to eat fast food. So there you go. The scrums are continuing in Boulder. I almost read that wrong. What's the biggest takeaway that you could come up with? Defense made an inferior team look inferior. Played about as good as a defense can. You got Taj Brooks, the football concerted effort. Early on when it mattered, it looked like you're continuing to target Tharp. And we all like saying Tharp. And you got a W, and you've got a quarterback controversy. Did you see the fight at the end of the Florida-Tennessee game? I did not. I give all of myself to Texas Tech basically on game day at a certain point. Betting on some ejections in Boulder. It's getting chippy. Elciter Ropes got chippy last night. Saw several people commenting that the defense is giving up way too many yards. Oh, I got to go back and finish that. Way too many yards going to be an issue in conference play. Pay no attention to those people. The defense has been fine. The defense was fine at Wyoming. The defense was fine against Oregon. It gave you a chance to win. They were great tonight. All right. Lathered up on cheap whiskey. Sounds like a fun weekend. That was always my job on the baseball broadcast back in the day. We all had our role to play, me and Mark, and he played it well, and I played it well. Yeah. Really chippy. I wonder why it's chippy. I wonder, like, some coach insulted the other coach for no reason during the week whatsoever in a cheap attempt trying to, I guess, I don't know, motivate his team. What a weird way to motivate your team. Just stupid. Why do you do that? What are you thinking? Yeah, I heard The Rock was on game day this morning. Fink lathers up on Diet Coke. Nope. Dr. Pepper, baby. Full strength, high octane, Dr. Pepper and a Diablo sandwich to go. Ben, don't break mentality, cowboy. They're not even really bending that much. Just took my sunglasses and hand off. Damn right, you're talking to an adult here. What was all that about? I don't know. Guy going to be looking for a job here pretty soon. 12 seconds left. BYU going to get this thing done? We're going to get a win? I say we, I mean the Big 12. We'll claim them if they're winning. Texas is going to stretch this out. They've got the ball again at the Wyoming 45. Sark going to add some cosmetic surgery to the final score if he can. And we're in the second. Kansas leading Nevada. Don't go play at Reno, baby. Don't go play at Reno. Tough place. 7-0 Nevada hanging in there. All right, way to go, Cougars. They will party like, well, they really won't do much. So it's probably good that they're in Fayetteville because there's not much to do there. Colorado have a sunglass sponsor yet? I bet they do. I'm sure Dion does. I would be shocked if he doesn't. Even Mike Leach had a sunglass sponsor back in the day. What was that company that did the Maui Jim? Was that it? Sanderson might remember. I think it was Maui Jim. A really cool picture from Pete Christie, our lead group of Abernathy alumni, drove to San Antonio to root on Rice and Daly, the Army quarterback who helped engineer the upset over UTSA. Weird fun fact, that game, last 5 times the road team has won. Let's just hope they don't drink the Kool-Aid. That would be bad. We'll continue on for maybe just a little bit longer. I'm enjoying the conversation. I hope you guys are. We really appreciate you being a part of Raiderland Rewind after all the Texas Tech games. Hey, next week we don't have to stay up too late. No idea We might get this tomorrow or Monday. We ought to get the Houston game. Maybe I doubt that's going to be a 6-day out. Um, you guys want that you guys want an afternoon game on that or an evening game? End of September ought to be okay weather-wise. ESPN was shocked that Army quarterback could throw more than 3 passes in a game. Okay, and here's the deal: people haven't been paying attention. Army told you last spring that they were going to get in more shotgun and get away from the triple option and the complete run game because they were one of the teams most affected by the clock changes on the first downs. And they felt like that rule actually was kind of targeting some schools like that was going to hurt them. So you had Army saying, we're going to go, and they installed it in the spring, and they put in much more shotgun and everything else, and they've obviously got a guy who can do it. Triple option shotgun for it. And yeah, you can do it out of the shotgun. You really can. And yes, and the blocking rule changes too on the offensive line. That's another great point. That basically the engagement rule, and it's kind of always been there in the chop block rule. That I don't think chop blocks are all that bad, but yes, the blocking rule and the chop block and the cut block and whatever you want to call it, which again I don't think is inherently bad. Did we see guys getting carted off left and right in Army games the last 5 years? No, we didn't. So the announcers, and I didn't get a chance to watch that game obviously last night. If they were surprised, they weren't paying attention because Army said exactly what they were going to do this year. UTSA quarterback was out. They went the backup, and UTSA had been running the football pretty effectively this year. Obviously not enough last night. Danny says, by the way, Ryan Leaf was a better quarterback than he is color commentary. I find his commentary refreshing. I think he's honest, and the games that I've heard Ryan Leaf work, I think he gives a really good accounting. Yeah, I disagree. I think Ryan Leaf's a pretty good color commentator for my money, for whatever that's worth. I may eat nothing but triple pepperoni Totino's pizza rolls tomorrow. I may eat nothing but pizza rolls and hot wings and queso. And I have no problem admitting that right now. That could be all that exists for me tomorrow, depending on breakfast. Bryson can start at most D1 schools at quarterback. Well, and I mean, you don't see a whole lot of guys transfer out of West Point. Most of the guys that go to West Point are going there because they want to be at West Point, not because they want to play football. So I don't know the young man, obviously, but I wouldn't think it's one of those deals that somebody comes calling maybe and says, hey, you want to play at NC State, and he automatically leaves. Except for when he's trying to get a player ejected for targeting his teammate. That was a weird deal. Going to be a drum major. Great video of him after the game. That was during the game. That was after one of the ropes touchdowns. As my son exited the field after the touchdown, he jumped in front of the band and conducted the band a la Peyton Manning. That was not after the game. The game was still going on last night. Yeah, it's a pretty cool video we had there on social media. With both Army and Navy now passing the ball more, I'm excited. Army-Navy game will now last longer. It was really short. Both ran 95%. You got a good point there. Although you only had to budget about, 2 hours tops, start to finish, on the game to get your complete enjoyment out of Army-Navy. He is a Hyatt. Yeah, his Hyatt was showing through last night. Don't tell anyone, proud dad moment. He got an unsportsmanlike penalty. Good job, kiddo. Longhorn Network not allowed at my house. So what's the score at Wyoming? Let's go check the latest update. With 5:56 to play, 31-10, Texas surrendering the ball to Wyoming. The Cowboys have it on the 44-yard line with a 1st and 10. So maybe one more possession each team on that one. We'll see where they end up on it. This could be the big week also, by the way, when we dump the satellite and go completely, I guess not cutting the cord because we don't have a cord with satellite, but going to streaming and all that sort of stuff. So it's really exciting times around here. Can't wait to tell you guys about it. We'll have our Sunday column up. Guess what? Sunday morning, 5 things we know on a Sunday. I hope you guys enjoy that. Big thanks to our sponsors tonight. Thacker Jewelry, fantastic supporters of West Texas, and Joe Thacker, just a really cool, interesting story in and of his own self. Internationally renowned craftsman right here in the Hubbleplex. We're glad to have them as the presenting sponsor of Raiderland Rewind. And if I say Diamond Talk, it's because obviously they were the sponsor for Diamond Talk back in the spring. We also thank Arctic Air. If your air is too Arctic coming up here in a month or so, you need to call the Bear. Callthebear.com. Fred Akers, former Wyoming coach, interesting nugget. Former Lubbock High coach, Fred Akers, interesting nugget. Heck of a kick for Missouri kid. 61 yards is impressive. Yes, it is, even off AstroTurf. Oh. All right, this is where we got to say goodbye. First, to the wonderful people that have been enjoying this one on YouTube and on Twitter, we thank you, and we appreciate you being a part of this broadcast tonight. It asks, do you want to end the stream? It says, not yet or in stream. Yes, we're going to end the stream. Now, you guys know what to do. It asked me how they could improve it. I've been giving them feedback in the feedback box of food items. So you guys get ready to text me a food